Today, I'm going to be talking about orthopedic impairment. So, orthopedic impairment is when a child has a disability relating to a bone, joint, or muscle that is severe enough to directly affect the child's educational performance. There's 3 different terms. So, congenital anomaly, so that would be like a clubbed foot. Impairments caused by disease, so bone tuberculosis, or impairments caused from other things like cerebral palsy, fractures, or burns. So there's different things that can come from. So the idea category of orthopedic impairments, it has a wide variety of disorders divided into 3 categories: neuromotor, degenerative diseases, musculoskeletal disorders, and so if you look over, so a neuromotor impairment is an abnormality of or damage to the brain, spinal cord, or nervous system that sends impulses to the muscles of the body. These impairments are acquired at or before birth and often result in complex motor problems that can affect several body systems. A degenerative disease is composed of various diseases that affect your motor development. Most common found in the school population is a muscular dystrophy. This is a group of inherited diseases characterized by progressive muscle weakness from the degeneration of muscle fibers. Musculoskeletal disorders are composed of various conditions that can result in various levels of physical limitation. 2 examples of musculoskeletal disorders include juvenile rheumatoid arthritis and limb deficiency. And according to the U.S. Department of Education, orthopedic impairments result in approximately 1% of all students having a classification in special education. If a student is suspected of having orthopedic impairment, the following evaluation should be conducted. So a medical statement indicating a diagnosis of an orthopedic or neuromotor impairment, or a description, a standardized motor assessment including areas of fine motor, gross motor, and self-help when appropriate by a specialist knowledgeable. Additional evaluations or assessments that are necessary to identify educational needs, and assessments to determine the impact of the suspected disability, so on a student's educational performance when the student is at the age of eligibility of kindergarten through age 21, or on the student's developmental progress when the student is at age 3 through the age of eligibility for kindergarten. Exclusionary factors, so an individual would not be considered for eligible for services under orthopedic impairment if one or more of the following exists. So the adverse effect is from lack of instruction in reading or math and is not related to a health impairment. The adverse effect is from the environment, culture, or economic disadvantage as a result of factors such as second language, limited English proficiency, other cultural values and experiences, and experiential differences. The adverse effect is judged to result from absenteeism, unrelated to health or change in residence or schools. The disability is more accurately described by other category of eligibility, and the adverse effect is primarily due to active substance abuse. Most students with orthopedic physical impairment spend at least part of the day in the general education classroom. According to the U.S. Department of Education, approximately 40% of all school-age students who receive special education services under the disability category of orthopedic impairment were educated in general education classrooms. 23% received resource room services, and finally, almost 1/3 received their education in a special education classroom or more restrictive environment, all from the U.S. Department of Education. Specific concerns and challenges that these students or children might face when they have these orthopedic impairments: behavior. So teachers in all subject areas should be aware of the impact of an orthopedic disability on a student's behavior in class. Students with these impairments, for example, might get tired more quickly than their peers without orthopedic disability. So as teachers, it's important to recognize why a behavior is happening and what a student needs. Participation. Physical education classes in particular are the most difficult. Some students with orthopedic impairments will need to be excused from gym class. Other students with mild orthopedic impairments may be able to participate. So that just comes down to making sure that you have the correct accommodations in place so that students feel like they are still being included in other peer activities. Seating. Students may need a special seating arrangement to help with posture or mobility, as moving around the classroom or school hallways may be difficult. The school may also need to arrange the schedules of these students in a way that prevents them from having to travel long distances from one class to another. Providing elevator access can also help. The school should be accessible to everyone, and that's just making sure that your classroom is just as accessible to them as it is somebody who does not have orthopedic impairments. Technology. They may also need assistive technology devices to help them communicate, or lessons that address their disability, such as those that will help them improve their gross or fine motor skills. Devices and technologies that may be utilized may include a wheelchair, specialized desks, canes, crutches, communication software, or speech recognition software. Travel. Students with orthopedic impairments may also face challenges accessing transportation to get to and from school. Federal law, however, requires that school districts provide the transportation necessary to help children with disabilities travel to and from school. So special transportation for students in special education. That was an overview of orthopedic impairments.